Hey, welcome everyone to Liberty Call. This is Juan, your host. Here we are again in another podcast with another guest. This guest is the friend of a friend that I'm hoping to meet in person soon. His name is Marco Antonio. He's a veteran. He was in the Navy and retired and decided to make the awesome move of moving overseas. Marco Antonio, if you don't mind, can you start with introducing yourself a little bit and
Yeah, sure.
what is that you did in the Navy?
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so yeah, my name is Marco Antonio, given name Marcos. I'm from Connecticut and I decided to join the military, the Navy specifically. 17 years old, out of high school, was just ready for something bigger, just didn't really
Yeah.
see life in my small town. So joined the military in 1989, did the standard boot camp and training in California, San Diego. And I was an interior communications electrician my first 3 years or so,
Okay.
and went to my first duty station was Pearl Harbor, where I went straight to a ship and got the real Navy
Yeah, you did.
introduction to real Navy. And then did that for about 3 or 4 years and then decided it was time for a change. So I shifted my job to, I went training for intelligence analyst. And so I became an intel analyst in 1994. And then from there, I kind of started the state getting stationed overseas. Whereas when on the ship, you do cruises and such. But
Real quick, if you don't mind, you said you were a CTR, correct?
I was an IS, so Intel Special.
Yes. Okay, okay. I was asking because my daughter, she's in the Navy. She was a CTR.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
she did,
we're
actually
very
just
close
she
with
just got a commission.
the CTs. Yeah, we work close
Yeah,
with the CTs. I had CTTs, CTM, CTRs. I worked with all of them.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so I went to Spain, my first duty station out of as an intel analyst. And that's kind of where I gained an appreciation for overseas culture and living. And I kind of felt, one day I could probably live overseas. I could do this pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so did Spain and then came back to the States, Tampa, Florida. Always tried to stay in warmer climates.
Me
And
too.
I kind of gravitated to that. California, Hawaii, Italy, Spain, warmer
Yeah.
climates. And so I was an intel analyst for next 21, 22 years. And then I retired in 2013. That was out of Peterson Air Force Base, US Northcom. And then it was time to join the civilian world, which is always an interesting transition after from a child to a grown adult.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, speaking of that transition, how did that work out for you? How did it go? Was it challenging? Was it pretty easy? Did the Navy prepare you well with the TAP class and everything else?
Yeah, TAP worked out pretty good. And I obviously it takes a lot of effort on your own part to start
Yeah.
getting used to transitioning. And it wasn't, I think, depending on where you're stationed, it was pretty easy, not easy, well, not very challenging for me because I was working with mostly Air Force. And working with the Air Force, I'm not going to say anything. I don't know how it is nowadays, but back then it was like almost working in the civilian life. You know,
Yeah, same
so
thing. Still the same.
yeah, okay. So, yeah, and then Peterson Air Force Base was a great place to transition. A lot of opportunity if people wanted to go govy or a lot of
Mhm.
networking going on, a lot of jobs at the time there. But at that point, I just decided. I mean, I looked at govy jobs because I was intel, and I mean, it was like it could have been like that. But
Right.
but I was wanted to get away from government. So it was kind of scary, just like having that comfort and that structure and that paycheck every month and all the security that comes with to
Yeah.
okay, wow, now I've got none of that. And so I researched probably 6 to 9 months before
Okay.
what would I do, and I wanted to go back to being technical because that's why I came in the Navy as an
Okay.
ice seaman. And then I liked being an intel analyst, but I more like working with my hands and fixing things and just being technical. So that's why I looked in the direction of direct TV.
Okay.
And that was a really good paying job at the time, and the opportunities to meet different people and kind of have different exposure. I like that. I didn't just want like something where I'm just sitting, in a
Yeah. Yeah.
cubicle
Yeah.
like I did. And so yeah, so that transition, I did an interview with DirecTV, and did a second interview and transitioned into working. I got my own van. I was a technician basically, and I did that
Nice.
for about 3.5 years, and then realized that the climate in Colorado for, I mean, I was still young at the time, so, but it was a challenge. I mean, you're working, long hours, late nights, rain, snow. You're in all sorts of different spaces, crawling under houses and stuff. And
Oh
so
yeah.
it got a little physically challenging, even though I was still in good shape. But I was like, yeah, you're always dirty. And so I was like, maybe it's time for a transition to something more, professional in like an office environment. So I got my
You
fill
got
of
the
that.
working with your hands out of the way. You got that
Yeah,
part
I
out of
got
the way.
that like that need out of the way. So then that's when I transitioned to Navy Federal, and never thought about going into finance, but it was a good fit because I realized in DirecTV that I was more of a people person, and I was more
Yeah.
social, and I was more able to I didn't realize that I was able to be so helpful in with people and
Yeah.
maintaining relationships. And
Yeah.
so a friend always used to tell me you should go into sales, and no, I can't do that. I'm not a salesman. He's like, no, it's not about selling things. It's about maintaining professional relationships and relating to people. And
Yeah.
so Navy Federal was a good fit. But I did that for the next, let's see, 7 years or so.
What did you do there?
I was one of their member service reps. So we did everything. We rotated. We handled
Okay.
their portfolios, investment portfolios. We did help with mortgages, and then we did
Oh, okay.
teller side as well. So money management and stuff, loans. Did the loan applications,
Wow. Pretty
everything
much
that Navy
everything, eh?
Federal does, we did.
Wow.
So
Okay.
so it was pretty cool. And then I learned that I was a Spanish speaker, but not a fluent Spanish speaker. So I had a lot of the Latino culture would always come in and ask for me. There was only two Spanish speakers. One was the
Okay.
manager, and she was always too busy. So they always came to me. And so I was like, this is cool. I like to, so I practice my Spanish a little more, and I like being, you know, bilingual. And so it was a good fit for a while. But then Navy Federal started shifting the
Mm.
way they do things and their corporate policies and stuff. I just didn't quite, I wasn't aligned with those.
Okay.
Not to really go into detail about, that whole thing. But so I just started feeling, yeah, I'm not really fitting here with these changes.
Yeah.
And I've always liked being in the Navy, traveling and knowing different cultures. And so, like, what can I do, where I can get more exposure to different cultures, and especially the Latino culture, because it's such a warm culture.
You
And
kind of always gravitated
yeah,
towards
I
that, eh?
always gravitated to that. And so, yeah, so I traveled to Cuba when I was still working there at Navy Federal. And then I traveled to Colombia.
Man, Cuba. Let me stop you right there.
Yeah,
How was as an American traveling to Cuba as prior service member? Hell, wait a minute. Prior Intel service member traveling to Cuba. How did that work out?
it was a little hairy. So at the time, I don't remember how it was opened. I think it was something that Obama did. I don't remember, but it was open to there was 13 categories of travel. So
Yeah.
you can claim a specific category what you were going to do. Like if you're a musician or a teacher or a businessman, or you had immediate family, or you just
Okay.
wanted to go, and it was called support to the Cuban people. So
Okay.
basically that was the catch all for we're tourists and we're going to go spend money in the economy. And so
Got it.
so that's what we all went under. And I traveled with a group of people, like 10, 12 people, but majority of them were musicians. So they had
Okay.
different categories. And at the time when I went, I think it was 2017. It wasn't as bad as I'm seeing it is today. As far as infrastructure and suppression and everything that's going on there.
Hmm.
Well, the poverty was there, but not at the levels I think it is today. And it was very interesting. The people are beautiful, warm, safe. Havana is incredibly safe because their law there, they protect tourism because it's such, part of their economy.
It makes sense. Yeah.
And we felt so safe. The Airbnbs we stayed in, the windows were open, the doors were unlocked.
Oh wow.
I mean, there are obviously other neighborhoods that weren't so safe, but where we
Sure. It's
were,
like anywhere.
Yeah, but it was a
Yeah.
great trip, and it kinda was like, "Wow," and I got to practice my Spanish, it was always a bucket list item,
Yeah.
smoke a couple Havanas and with the beach and just learn about their culture. So like you had to prepare an itinerary to be able to show cut like when you're going through, okay, this is what I'm doing,
Oh, okay.
this is what's
Yeah.
scheduled, this is how I'm going to spend money in your economy basically.
I see.
So
Okay.
I scheduled tours, I scheduled salsa lessons, I scheduled cooking lessons.
Salsa. I love salsa.
Yeah. So it's like, look, I'm coming and I have a purpose. I'm not just gonna come and like, veg. And so it was really cool. I went for like 5 or 6 days. So it went by quick. And so
Yeah.
that yeah, so that was while I was there, afterwards I had posted some stuff in public or in social media. And my buddy Mark, your friend as well, saw that and he was just like in Mexico or something at the time. And he's like, wow, you went to Cuba and I'm in Mexico, but I'm thinking about going to Cuenca, Ecuador. And I'm like, talk to me about this Cuenca, Ecuador. So he started sending me a lot of information, like in around 2018 ish into
Yeah.
2019, and that's where the idea started coming into play. Like, wow, I can actually retirement and disability pay will put me very comfortably.
So it's all Mark's fault.
Yeah, basically. Because I was thinking of other countries as well, but then you start to look at all the pros and cons, and there were just a pro, 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 pro. I was like, yeah, this can work. And
Yeah.
so you got to get mentally prepared for it, though. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
yeah,
Do you ever see yourself living overseas full time?
I did because being
Okay.
stationed in Italy, being stationed in Spain, then traveling extensively, because I was ship's company for several tours. I was like, yeah, I just feel like I fit overseas more than I do in the United States. And
I
so
can relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
So
yeah, so I
let me.
started getting
I'm
excited.
sorry. Go ahead.
I started getting excited and then, you know, there's a lot of details that were, involved with the move and stuff and the preparation, but the more
Yeah.
I
I
like
have.
I said, the more I researched, Ecuador seemed to be the fit.
Very nice. I have a lot of questions for you about your move and your transition to Ecuador. But real quick, before we move there, rewinding back a little bit, your transition out of the military and into the civilian world, into FedEx and excuse me, Navy
DirecTV
Federal.
and Navy.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, DirecTV. Thank you, and Navy Federal. What were your biggest challenges when it came to the transition from military to civilian? Was it medical issues? Were there financial issues, or maybe perhaps family relation issues?
Family relation issues because I that was on the in the wake of a divorce.
Okay,
So
yeah,
so that wasn't in the life plan.
yeah, yeah. I don't
So
think it's
yeah.
ever in anyone's plan when they get married.
Yeah, so there was a year after that was my retirement. And then so obviously financial issues were a concern, but I had saved and I already had, I knew what was going to be coming in from VA and I had a nice back pay actually from VA as well. The biggest
Plus your
challenges,
retirement, plus your pension.
yeah, yeah. So that those two together, that is basically, like like a mid-range salary.
Yeah,
But I think the lack of structure and discipline in the civilian community, I mean, it exists, but like going from the structure and discipline that we know in the military and the planning and everything that goes into everything we do to just the willy-nilly kind of well we'll just figure it out or I don't know, it's just that there wasn't so much discipline and not that I need that, but
hmm
when you have it for 25 years and then it's kind of like they do things differently and then the diversity as far as in the military we're diverse, we have all different races and ethnicities and we're used to working together as a team,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's not even an issue. Well, it wasn't at my time. To now in the civilian community, people, there's biases and stuff that we didn't really deal with. So stuff like that was kind of challenging to get through.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess you're not the first person that told me this. Obviously, I haven't experienced it because I haven't made the transition, but several people that I talked to mentioned that there's how would I describe it? A lack of caring
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the civilian world.
You're on your own, basically. If you're lucky enough, you're fortunate enough to get in with a team or a company that really promotes cohesion and stuff, well, that's great, but it's basically, you're out there on your own and nobody's got your back, and the competition, people are ready to stab you in the back to get ahead, and
Wow, yeah,
all that corporate stuff that people deal with.
yeah. And in the military, we all kind of we celebrate each other's successes,
Right,
and
right.
uplift each other. It's like, hey, congratulations! Even though I didn't promote, you did. Congratulations! I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that you just have to kinda, okay, sit back, and you have to learn to accept things, or you just have to transition to, be more flexible and open to, and then I don't know, just the military is such a different way of life, and then it's
Yeah.
there you go, just figure it out.
So okay, so you talk to Mark, and you start looking into Ecuador. Do you even think about another country since you kind of already knew that you kind of fit better overseas, and
Yeah,
you're now
I
looking
always
at
thought
Ecuador?
about Italy and Europe, somewhere in Europe, but I wasn't very educated on like the expense in Europe and the acceptance of how the expat community was in like Europe and Spain. Spain and Italy were two options. But then I wasn't sure, could I live on my retirement there? Would I have to get a job? What are those details like? What's the visa process like? And so
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to really research that. And then I had this wealth of information from Mark about Ecuador. So then I shifted to Ecuador and Colombia, because a very good friend of mine is a paisa from Medellin, and he always talked
Okay.
about Medellin. So I was like, well, that's an option. But then looking at their visas, at a first glance, they were investment visas, and I didn't have a large
Okay.
chunk of change to invest in their finance. They wanted like a CD or something in the bank. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, that's not really. I don't really. Not. I'm wary of that. And then so because all the information was just like in my face, and I was like, wow. So it was kind of for me. It was kind of it was work, but Marcus, he was essential in my transition because he helped so much because he had just done it all a year before, and
Wow.
he gets he's very detail oriented and very structured and very so he had it
Yeah, he's a
all
he's a
planned
planner.
out. Yeah, he's a huge planner, and
Yeah, I've
so
worked with him, and he is a planner, and he likes to, he likes to have contingencies for contingencies, and like, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so he would make a great transition specialist, to be honest with you. And so, yeah, so he was key in that. And then I took a trip. 19, I took a trip to Quito with another friend to visit
Okay.
another friend. And when I went to Quito, I went for like 7 or 8 days. And I was like, wow, this is cool. This is a great country. The people are good. I speak almost fluent Spanish. I
Yeah.
like it here. So that kind of was like, all right, now let me look further.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like the idea of wow, I could live comfortably on my salary. I got to see what the economy was like, what prices were like, you
Yeah.
know. And
It kind of
so
helps that they use the US dollar too
yeah,
there.
yeah, they transitioned to the dollar in about 20 years ago. And then, of course, the Latino culture, I've always drawn to Latino women as well. So that
Yeah.
was a little bit of incentive.
That's a plus right there.
Yeah, it was a plus. Yeah,
So what was the hardest thing, about leaving the US, like for good?
my kids are two grown adults, 25 and well, they're 20, 21 and or 22 and 18. So leaving them behind, but not leaving them behind, just not being a daily part of their life. But I felt
Yeah.
comfortable enough to where they have grown into such responsible young adults and they were already good. I mean, I was in the mindset of wow, I left home when I was nearly 17
Yeah.
and my children are, one had his college education, he's a mechanical engineer, and the other one was just kind of deciding what direction he was going in, but they were They were stable. They were good.
Yeah.
There were no issues. So that was a major factor. It was like if they weren't, then no, I would have had to delay it for another year or two. But they were.
Yeah.
So that actually helped. But it was a challenge to make that decision. And then obviously you have to start to realize, okay, well now I have to minimalize, going from
Oh
having
yeah.
a nice big house and all your furniture and all your belongings, it's kind of like a shift in your mind where you're like, things are not important.
Yeah.
To me, experiences and relationships and new beginnings and adventure is more important. Is more
We think alike. We're very much alike, you and I.
okay, cool. And so you get to the point where it's like, I don't need a 3,000 square foot home full of furniture and a three-car garage and two car. I don't need that to be happy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
comfortable, but that you're just stuck in the cycle of, okay, I'm gonna work until I'm 70 years old and then I'm gonna live for 10 or 15 years. No, no.
Yeah.
So it was and plus obviously you have to have military back or some kind of investment to live off of. So this can't it's
Yeah.
not for everybody. I mean, I talked to
Absolutely.
my friends back home in Connecticut and they can't even imagine because they did the other route. They went to college, they got married to their high school sweethearts, they had families, and they live in this, they've traveled
Yeah.
maybe to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And so which
Where
I'm
we
not
go
knocking that,
to
but
Thailand or Africa or the Middle East. We
yeah,
we
and
go to
so
all
I've
these
I've
places,
always
you know?
had that thirst for okay, what's I want to be challenged, in that in a different way. And so, but yeah, back to the original question. The biggest challenge was my kids, but we've all adapted since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they doing well now?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, they're in Spain right now.
Oh, awesome. Are they like kinda I know our kids know our plans and they're our biggest supporters. They're like, "Oh yeah, just go do it. Go do these things." And I'm telling all the things we want to do. They're like, "Oh, dad, it's so cool. Yeah, you have to go do this."
Yeah, they kind
Are
of
they the
live
same way?
like, we live vicariously through them, because 'cause they're younger and they're just starting out, but then they through us, because especially if they see, like, their parents are still, like I mean, age is a number, if you
Yeah,
feel a certain way and you're still full of energy, and they kinda thrive off of that, and it shows them, "Look, you could do anything you want," you could
absolutely.
basically do anything you want, you just have to go for it. Yeah, obviously, you have to plan a little and be responsible, but
Yeah, of course.
and so they supported me. They're like, even though, they're like, I don't know if it's the right time, but we know you're not happy where you are. You're missing something. So go figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. You gotta have that kind of support from your kids. 'Cause I feel the same way. If my kids were having a hard time getting started, I don't see myself doing this. But they all seem to have it all right and kind of figure out at least the beginning for a good ramp up. Yeah, and it also helps that they're there to support you, like your kids are doing for
Right.
you.
I also wanted to provide them future opportunity to like, look, your dad lives overseas now. Come on, get out here, travel. And
Yeah,
I push them a little since I've been here. My older son actually came out first, and he went to Peru, and him and his
that's
girlfriend
awesome.
went to Peru, and I met them in Peru, and we went to Machu Picchu, and they're
Nice.
climbers that because they live in Colorado. They do the 14ers. There's like
Yeah.
58 14ers, and they're at like number 20 already. So they're
Wow.
adventure seekers. And so ended up. My son ended up proposing to his girlfriend in Peru, and
That's
then
awesome.
and we spent a little time there, and then they came to Ecuador, and we spent another week or so here, and so that they could see, okay, dad is living okay. He's doing
Yeah.
okay. And then my younger son, he's just had challenges with getting days off,
Mm,
so he hasn't
yeah.
made it out yet. But he did finally. He's with his mother in Spain, so that is opening the door for him now because he was always hesitant to travel. But now that he's gone there, I think he's gonna be like, "Oh, I could do this." I mean,
Yeah.
he's done domestic travel with his buddies, but not by himself internationally. I think that kind of
That's
opened his
awesome.
eyes, to okay, I could probably go see dad in a year or so. Let me give me some more days off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can learn so much just from traveling. Learning culture and starting appreciating the kind of life you have.
Mhm.
Um, and understanding, other governments, food. I mean, there's so many things: architecture, art. there's so much that you can learn just from traveling. And
I think it's the best education. I mean, any university, I'm sure you get a great education, but I think travel is absolute the best life education. And so, I mean, I went to college as well, but what did that didn't really serve me much, to be honest with you.
Mm. My kids are the same way because they moved all around, and so we lived in Italy. We visited in Spain. We visited in Japan. We've been to Thailand. I've taken on vacations to Mexico, up in Canada. So they're used to traveling, and and they love it. They really do.
Yeah, if you started at a young age, definitely
Yeah,
break
it kind of
those.
becomes kind of one of the loves in your lives, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I even got like you. I have my youngest daughter. She's planning on uh, meeting me um, in Peru by Machu Picchu. We want to do together. We want to do the 5 day Silken Trail
very
up
nice.
to
Wow.
yeah. So we're looking forward to that. She's like, "Yeah, you're really going to do that?" I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah!" She's
Yeah,
like, "You mind if I go with you?" I'm like, "No,
that's
I'll pick
super
you up at the
cool.
airport
Yeah,
and we'll do it together."
that's a magical place, and the food in Peru is some of the best cuisine in the world, hands down.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Hey, and a question about your transition into Ecuador. I know you said you got rid of a lot of your stuff, but do you move any furniture or any household goods from the U.S. to Ecuador? How was the process? Do you have to pay any tariffs or anything?
So that's feasible, although I didn't do it. Other people do
Okay.
it. I completely minimalized. I mean, it was such a life change, Like I sold my car, my home, all my furniture, all my belongings pretty much.
Oh,
And then I packed just essential stuff. I had like 9 bags, like duffel bag, big duffel bag, like suitcase type thing. And then I had those four of those like those plastic boxes,
oh
rigid
yeah.
boxes that you could pack, and you can move those on United Airlines is what I used, up to 50 pounds. And so I had four of those just full of basic stuff that I didn't want to get rid of.
Okay, yeah.
And then, like all my military stuff, obviously stayed behind. I rented a rental unit, which my son still manages for me, but it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller because we've done reviews of, hey, do I really need this? Because
Yeah.
you can't be a pack rat. And so I didn't move furniture or household goods, like small items, like stuff like, you know,
Okay, yeah.
just like collectible things that I've had that I've bought overseas and stuff that I didn't want to part with. But furniture, no. And then
Okay.
so I had to go back once to get more stuff, but I have a lot of clothing, unfortunately. So that was probably the biggest haul.
Why is it unfortunately?
Well, I mean, because I just some people are minimalist with clothing, and just I get bored with clothing, so my wardrobe is extensive.
I've seen your pictures on Facebook, man. Like you know how to dress, my friend. And,
Thanks.
I like to dress up like that too. I like to wear my jacket and enjoy a real
Yeah,
nice meal over
yeah.
some wine and
It's
yeah,
kind of, the
absolutely,
lifestyle I chose, but it's more laid
definitely.
back and simple here. I mean, like, you don't see too many people going out wearing a sport coat, but that's just my style. But so yeah, but if you want to move household goods, there are contractors who will do it for, not that expensive, depending on the container size you want. Like here,
Okay.
there's a huge expat community, and there's people who are that's their what they do. There's certain
Oh, okay.
yeah, so you could get in contact through the forums online and such and find out, okay, there's one guy who's an Ecuadorian American who went back to the United States, and he opened a business, and that's what he does. He moves people's household goods over. You can't bring a car unless
Okay.
you're a citizen, so you have to
Huh.
be naturalized. As far as the last time I checked, you can buy a car here, but you can't bring a car tax free.
I see.
There are import taxes, the high import taxes on certain items here, and so that's why, that doesn't really work out for most of us. But you can, like I said, you could buy a car locally if you want, but then, it's a relatively economic cost of living, but there are certain items here that are pricey. Vehicles are one of them, There's a lot of Chinese cars here, which are
Oh, really?
affordable. Yeah,
Huh.
the market's flooded here. But like American made things,
Not so much.
yeah, no, like trucks and American cars and stuff, the import taxes are astronomical. Yeah, it's a bit difficult, but and then like other things like alcohol and tobacco, all the standard things you think of, like electro domestic items, clothing. There's certain items here that you're like you're gonna pay three times as much for, but you just
Okay.
adapt. You bring what you
Yeah, yeah,
need, and then you just figure out other ways to get something that or you just pay for it. Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of sorry, barring going off of on a
No, no, you're good. Like,
tangent
actually,
here.
let's stick around with the since you brought it up. Let's stick around with the cost of living. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like,
Oh yeah,
what kind of
sure,
house you live
certainly.
in? How much you pay for rent?
That
How much
there,
does
the
utilities cost?
basic cost of living is a fraction of what you're going to spend in the United States. And so I would say about, depending on your lifestyle, your priorities, whether you're really humble or
Sure.
you need to be a little more extravagant. One could live comfortably on about 25,000 a year, 25,
Oh, wow.
yeah, 25, 25 to 30, 30 more,
Okay. Yeah.
um, but you can live on much less than that. I mean, there are couples living here on their Social Security, 1,500, 1,800 a month, and they're just doing just fine. It's
Wow.
all up here. It's all, what do you need? What's important? What are your priorities? But
Yeah.
so I mean, just basically, like, I live in a nice apartment building. It's about 8 to 10 years old. It's pretty modern. It's 10 minutes from the center, centrally located. Don't really need a vehicle unless you want to travel outside of the city, because you can get public transit is very economical. You can get all over the city with public transit.
Nice.
So I live in a five-story apartment building. Guard, it's clean. They clean it every day. Maintained, very well maintained. There's a generator in the garage, so because we do have
Wow.
hours, we do lose electricity because of they're very dependent on water power here, and when we don't have rain,
Okay.
equals less, you know, less electric.
Yeah.
So 3 bedroom, 2 bath, balcony, two parking spots, a storage unit. My water, my electricity, my gas, my internet are all included. $1,000 a month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's how many bedrooms you said?
Well, this is an office, so this is like a half a bedroom, and then
Okay.
two full bedrooms, and then
Wow. That's
one
incredible.
two and a half baths. So the third bath is just a
Yeah.
doesn't have a shower. And then I'd say it's about, I don't know, maybe 1,600 square feet, maybe.
Man, that's like half the price. Well, less than half the price. Man,
Yeah. Yeah. You just
it's
can't.
amazing.
And then they make fun of me. They say, "Oh, you're a gringo, you pay too much." But But it's all because you could live comfortably on you could find a nice place for $600-700 a month. Easy, and it's
Wow.
comfortable and it's modern and it's clean and safe, and you have everything you need. I just like lumped it. I mean, the owner of my apartment um is an American, and so it's a little more I'm a little more spoiled here because I have a bigger refrigerator and a dishwasher
Okay,
and
yeah.
washer dryer, and so I have some more amenities that are more along the lines of an American standard.
They wanna market to, foreigners, I guess.
Exactly, and they know that
Yeah,
we're gonna pay a little. We may be able to pay a little more. So,
sure.
and my rent hasn't gone up in 3 years. Typically, rent goes up 5 to 10% every year, but he hasn't raised the price in 3 years. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so base that's all covered. I mean, apartment and then all utilities, internet are covered for a grand. And then my cell phone bill, I have unlimited, comparative to what you'd have in the United States. I pay $31 a month for that.
Meh, I'm laughing because it's ridiculously affordable.
Right. And then let's see, I'm just trying to think of overhead. So that's the majority of overhead. Then food is going to be basically what's your priorities? Do
Sure.
you want to cook 5 nights a week? Do you want to go eat out? Do you want to mix? I cook 3 to 4 times a week, usually when I'm in a good mood. And so, depending on what you eat, I mean, you could spend anywhere from, and where you shop, you can go to the more, nicer supermarket, or you can go to the local market.
Sure.
You get certain things and certain locations, fruits and vegetables, you can get them dirt cheap, local market. But then the meats and stuff are more,
Yeah.
trustworthy in the
In the
supermarket.
supermarket.
And so one could probably live on, I'd say maybe maybe $300 a month. I think maybe for food. Yeah.
Wow. That is,
Um, but then we eat out when we love to eat. You know,
yeah.
you got to add that in. But then that's not too bad either. I mean, lunch, basic lunch is like $6, $7. If you want to eat a lunch out, a dinner, you can go out for dinner, two people, not including drinks, maybe 30 to $40. You could have a good
That's
dinner.
amazing. You said lunch for like $3 or $7.
Oh, you could get it as cheap as 3.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how long you've been haven't been in the States, but you can't even get a meal in McDonald's for that price anymore. You're
Oh,
you're
yeah,
paying like $10 for it now. It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, if you go to the little mom and pop places, you can get you a good plate of chicken or meat with beans and rice, or, they eat a lot of, like plantains and you know just there's a lot of carbs in the diet here, but you get full really quick. A lot of vegetables too, but anywhere from like daily lunch specials are like $3 $4, and then sometimes you want a little more fancy, you spend in maybe $9 $10, but it's still
Wow,
it's really affordable.
it's so
Like
affordable.
overall, if I were to add everything together, out of my budget, I probably spend on essential items maybe 2,000, 2,100 a month, and then that leaves
That's
me with a significant extra to just tool around and travel, or if I don't do anything for 2 or 3 months, just save that, and then you have
yeah.
that.
I can I see your lifestyle in Facebook, and it's incredible that you're saying that that's your pretty much your budget every year, every month because you you live pretty good lifestyle, man.
Yeah, I would live comfortably, and then
Yeah,
I'm not extravagant, but much more comfortably than the United States. And so, but that's just, what I choose to do. This might not be a good fit for somebody else who's a little
true.
more high maintenance. And I used to be high maintenance, but I kind of toned it.
Tailor it down a little bit.
Yeah, because I moved to a third world country, but where I live here in Cuenca, you forget you're living. The quality of life here is very good, very safe, very clean. There's everything you need here. I mean, the population's about 600,000, I think. Um, Public transport's great. The food scene's picking up. It's getting more diverse. Travel to other areas is a little challenging because the majority of travel throughout South America is on bus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Do they have an
fly.
airport there?
Yeah, there's an international airport as well.
Okay.
Those options are growing, although the prices range depending. Like you have to keep your finger on the pulse with the what's changing as far as the seasons of travel.
Yeah.
But everything you need here. I mean, Cuenca's probably the best city in Ecuador. The safest. We live in the mountains. We're kind of in like a little bubble from the high crime rate and then the narco crime on the coast. And like, because if you read the news, Ecuador's is pretty dangerous right now.
Yeah. In Quito area, right? That's what I hear.
Yeah, and then all the coast.
Oh,
So
Caquilo area.
Manta, Manabí, Guayaquil
Guayaquil. Yeah.
is the largest city in the country. The crime rate's pretty high there. I mean,
Yeah.
if you could live, you just have to be, situationally aware and don't be a soft
Yeah.
target. I'm not like discouraging anybody to try to go to these other cities, but you're not going to live as comfortably and as safe as you will in Cuenca. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of money here in Cuenca, and the
A lot
mayor's
of
great.
expats.
They take really good care of the city. They manage their resources well. It's one of the cleanest cities I've ever seen in my life, to be
Wow.
honest
I
with you.
can't wait to come and visit over there.
The history is amazing. There's a lot to do here. And then you get bored, you could just, go on. You can go to the coast or you can go to the beach or go to Quito. There's a lot of history there.
Speaking of traveling, you have done. I started following you a couple of months ago. When we started trying to get this schedule. So I don't know about the past, but ever since I've been following you, like you've been traveling the whole time. Like
That was my
you've been to
goal because
Spain, Argentina.
yeah,
Yeah. You've been everywhere.
this is this is a great hub because my goal was when I got here was to do the entire all of South America and then Central America. And so obviously budget dependent, I don't want to
Right.
overextend myself, but I was making a list just here recently because you have to keep track of your days outside the country. But I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've done 18 international trips in the last 3 years.
Whoa.
So more than
Oh, that's
yeah,
like 6 every year, man.
yeah. Some of those,
That's
well, 4 or
incredible.
5 of those were back to the US.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the pace that I wanna keep, and my goal was to travel every 3 to 4 months, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and then, my girlfriend is also we have a lot in common as far as international likes and travel and adventure, so her obviously she has a full-time career, so her travel is limited to certain how many days
Sure.
off a year, but then we have a good equilibrium, like the trips that we want to go on together we do together. For me to get my fill, okay, I'm going to go to some of the countries that she doesn't really care about. Like
Yeah.
she'll be telling me, okay, these are the places I don't want to go, so you could go there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
None does the same thing to me. I got a list of countries I wanna go to, and she's like, "I don't wanna go to that one, so I'll just stay in Thailand when you go there."
Right, right, exactly. So yeah, there's similarities there. Yeah, so she has
Yeah.
a list of, okay, go here, 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 and here, and then save these places for me.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a much more stress-free life and much freer life. And yeah, I mean, am I wrong here?
Yeah, well,
Do you
that's the
regret doing
magic of
this?
retiring at this age at like 50, I was 51. The freedom is just like, but the freedom comes with challenges because you
Sure.
lose your sense of purpose. And so if you're not waking up every day with, like, Mark gets up every day at 5:30 in the morning, and like his days are like usually planned out, he's maintained that sense of purpose. He's still in his military frame of mind, I think, where I'm just like, I mean, I get up, I'm back in the gym after 2, 3 years, which is you need to be in the gym if you're gonna have like these goals of travel and staying healthy and
Yeah.
just active. And then my girlfriend's significantly younger than I am, so you need to keep that energy level. But what was I saying? So your sense of purpose, you have to find it again because you can get lost and then that can bring on all sorts of feelings of like sadness and depression, and you just got to be like, you got to know what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be contributing to something positive. And so I'm still working on that, to be honest with you. Like there are days where I get up early, and then there are days where I'm up at 10:30 in the morning, and then it's like, okay, what am I doing today? Well, there's really not much to do. Go for a walk in the park, people watch, have coffee, visit my girlfriend for lunch, and then there are other days where, because I don't have a lot of a lot of friends, I don't have a big social circle here. So there's volunteer opportunities. You just have to really, it takes effort to like be engaged throughout the day. Or if you want to get online and you want to do a small part-time job, you work it online. I mean, that's those opportunities are there. So that's been one of the biggest challenges. I think that was one of the questions. Yeah, what is
Yeah.
sense of purpose? Once you have all this time, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
How do you continue to make a difference? Because you're in the military and you're helping people and you're protecting the nation and you're doing all sorts of important things, and you're a family man and or fat, but then all of a sudden all that is,
Everything's gone.
yeah, and it's beautiful because that all that stress goes away, and you're not. I mean, if you decide not to be a homeowner, that's less stress. You don't have a car, that's less. I mean,
Right.
it's incredible. But then, like I said, all that freedom brings another like type of like stress. Like, okay, what am I going to
Yeah.
do? And so I'm still trying to manage that, to be honest. So
I
travel
guess you
is
gotta
one of
find
those things that
I
keeps me.
was gonna say, yeah, I guess you gotta find what it is that you really like, and it sounds like for you is
Yeah,
traveling.
yeah. And I mean, people at home would be like, "Whoa, woe is you, cry me a river." No, I'm not looking for any sympathy.
Well, that's a good problem to have then.
Yeah, right.
I can imagine going to a therapist, say, "Hey, I'm depressed because I got I got nothing to worry about,
Yeah,
and I have
exactly.
all this money, and I just don't know what to do with it." No, it's a great problem to have, but
Yeah,
but you're right. You got to have a sense of purpose. I guess you got to figure out what is it that you love, and you got to go do it.
right. Hobbies help, and you
Yeah.
got to stay sharp. Otherwise, if you don't use your mind,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
No, you're right. You're right.
yeah.
So,
So
so you've been there now for 3 years.
yeah.
What you gave me a little bit of a hint here, but what is your normal day like looks like there in Cuenca for you?
So usually, okay. So I like to sleep, but average day 9 o'clock. Get up 9 o'clock or so. Um, Breakfast. I go to the gym. I have a trainer, so I go to the gym 3 times a week. So that
Okay.
starts at noon, noon to 1:30. So that occupies the late morning, early afternoon, 3 days a week. And then after that, lunch. And then sometimes I meet with Mark and we go out coffee and talk about just what's going on in the city or in the expat community or what plans are, what's just going on. And then depending on, if I need to go to the supermarket or the market, sometimes I got to take care of that. And then I'll do a little bit of, I'll look at a little bit of social media from time to time throughout the day. Try to contact my kids depending on what my son sometimes works from home. So we'll have
Okay.
a conversation depending on what his work hours are like. My other son is more on the weekends. And then every so often, I mean, I have like 2 friends in the building, so I'll kinda chat with them, see what they're up to. It's more social than anything else, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I used to go, like, when I was first here, my first few months, just kinda, like, buying things for the apartment, that were necessary, shopping and
So that
stuff.
kept you busy.
Yeah, but then once that's done, it's like, "Okay, what do you do now?" And so that's why where that sense of purpose is important. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes your days, it's just like, "Wow, I have so many hours in the day," and it's like, "Okay, well, it's kinda cloudy outside today, so I'm just gonna, watch some TV or, just it gets boring sometimes." Yeah.
You mentioned it's social. How's the expat community over there in Cuenca?
There's about I think the last count was just over 10,000 people here. That are
Wow, that's
expats.
significant.
Yeah, and that's a mixture of veterans and non-veterans, and then when they say expat, that's gonna include, like, Canadians too, and then,
Sure.
like other people, Europeans as well, like Brits
Of
and stuff.
course.
But yeah, there's a large community because it's the most popular city in the country to retire in, and it's growing. It's definitely growing, and because it's so affordable as well, people on their Social Security. There's a lot of couples here. There's not a lot of
Okay.
single folks. There's a lot more couples, who come. They have both their Social Security, and so I'd say for demographics, they're 60 plus about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, and then a lot of couples bring their dogs and stuff, so that occupies their time as well.
So what do you do for healthcare? I know you're retired, so you really have TRICARE, and I'm assuming you probably also have VA medical as well.
Yeah, so that's there. TRICARE, I mean, I maintain TRICARE Prime for like because it's just so cheap, you know.
Yeah.
Military, I mean, it's there for life in case I need to go back to the States. I don't use TRICARE overseas. I just maintain it. I pay that out of my retirement every month. And then if I have
Okay.
to, I think I switched to TRICARE East from West just to be on the East Coast because I'm closer to like Florida or whatever. But I haven't had to use it yet. I have private medical insurance because,
Okay.
believe it or not, the healthcare here in Ecuador, the private side is very, very advanced. I've seen several specialists already in the community, and it's very good. It ranks pretty high actually on the list.
Oh wow.
I don't know what number it is, but so and It's not as expensive, and you don't deal with all the red tape that you deal with. Like, okay, you got to go to your primary physician and get a referral, and then you got to
Yeah.
wait for to see if the insurance is going to cover it. And no, it's more direct. Like if I want to go
Yeah.
get an X-ray or an MRI tomorrow, I just go right to the facility and say,
Yeah.
I need an X-ray of my back, or I need an MRI of whatever, or hey, I need a heart checkup, or I need a full panel blood work. You just
Yeah.
go directly. There are some services that you need your primary care physician to write the referral, but not very many. So I have a primary care doctor here. And then my insurance, I hardly use it because like my copay is $100. And then like a doctor's visit to like go see my doctor is like $30. So
Hmm.
and then that could be for whatever. And then if she says, okay, well, let's go get you blood work or let's go get you x-rays, you pay for that out of pocket. And then you just submit to the insurance anything that more than $100. And I think my insurance covers like 80 or 90% of my
Is it what is your premium again? Do you say your premium? I couldn't
my
catch that.
premium is I pay, so you could do annual or you could do monthly. So it's
Uh-huh.
about, for my private insurance, the coverage for my smaller policy is 6 grand. So it's up to
Okay.
6 grand. And then it is $100 deductible, and I pay $50 a month for that.
Oh, okay. That's pretty affordable.
And then yeah, and then I had a larger um policy. I had two policies. One covered up to 6 grand, and then the other one covered up to half a million.
Oh wow.
And that
Okay.
was a $5,000 deductible. So I had
Okay.
zero to 6,000, and then the from the five up to half a billion. But it was that was $48 or $50. So it's about $90 to $100 a month for
Okay.
full coverage, which is pretty affordable. But then I dropped my larger coverage because, like, in speaking with experts here, and then with my girlfriend as well, she's like, anything you do, and the most expensive thing you're going to do in Ecuador that it's feasible to do here is maybe open heart surgery, and that might cost you 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they do brain surgery here, and there's no need to have that higher amount of coverage.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I dropped that. I kept it for the first 3 years. I just recently dropped it.
Yeah.
And then we did have for 1 year, FMP did contract
Mm.
with HCA, the local company, and we did have a clinic here that was treating VA folks for their rated disabilities, in which Mark was a big part of because he was the veteran service officer. He's the one who helped the vets submit their claims and get their actual packages put together.
Yeah.
And so
He
he
mentioned
headed
that.
that
Yeah.
up, and they were open for a year. And so during that year, I was able to get treated for my disability my VA rated items for free.
Nice.
With sleep apnea, I was able to get a new CPAP machine.
CPAP.
I was able to get cardiology, pulmonology, neurology, radiology. I was able to get a lot of things under the VA coverage for free. And then medicines, some of
Wow.
the medicines I take. But then that option kind of it went away. There's
Mm.
some things that I'm not really keen on the details on why the clinic closed, but it was here. And it may open again, but I think there was some scrutiny going on about how they were doing things, and so they closed it down for now.
Okay.
But there's still you can go to Panama, or you can go to
Okay.
Medellin as well in Colombia, and then there's another one I think in Costa Rica. So there are several VA sponsored clinics, or not VA sponsored, but like they're contracted. They just get reimbursed by VA through FM.
Yeah. That's very convenient because you
Yeah.
don't even have to deal with insurance side. Bill directly the VA. And I guess as a last resort, there's also TRICARE Select where they pay 75%. TRICARE Overseas, basically,
That's an option.
where
I
they can
just
pay
haven't looked
seventy-five
into it.
percent.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
the only
definitely.
downside on that is that you had to pay in advance the entire bill, and then you send the receipt with your claim online to TRICARE, and that can also take some time to get the money back too. So
Right.
that's the challenge, yeah.
You have to
And
be
so I understand
prepared
why.
for
Yeah,
that. But but healthcare is a lot. I mean, there's a lot less inflation and red tape here. I mean, like just for example, and dental care as well. They do dental vacations here. They have
Yes, I heard.
packages where you can come and that pay for the hotel and everything, and then get your dental work done for a fraction of the cost. But
Wow.
I mean, the most expensive thing I'll probably be looking at in the near or distant future is like I have a gallstone, so if I wanted to have my gallbladder out, it's about $1,800. I mean,
Oh, that's
that's like I
man,
think that's
that's
like a ten or
so
twelve
cheap.
thousand dollar surgery in the United States.
Oh, probably more. I don't think you can get a. I don't think you can get an emergency room visit for less than $3,000 now.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, with obviously with TRICARE, it's less. I mean, if you have that coverage, but like
Sure.
just, I'm just talking basic civilian costs. Um,
Oh yeah, you're right. It's completely out of
so,
hand over here.
so
It's
yeah,
very
that's a
ridiculous.
huge concern for folks, especially towards the retirement age. But yeah, Ecuador's I'm very comfortable with the coverage here and
Nice.
the specialties. And like I said, I've seen all those specialists and they've been top notch. And so I have no reservations of, they have the other side of healthcare where they have their public hospitals, but that's a whole nother
Wow. Yeah.
level of
I don't know if
medical care that,
you probably don't want to get into.
yeah, yeah. Private
Yeah, I'll
private
pass on that one
is the
too.
way to go because it's definitely,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
If for veterans, or really anyone, but for veterans who are thinking about making the move and moving overseas, and they still don't know where to go, and they don't really know how to do it, and so they're having a lot of thoughts whether they want to do it or not. They're on that fence. What kind of advice would you give them?
Uh, so first of all, it has to be in your character and your personality to be open minded and open to different culture, different ways of doing things. You have to be adventurous. You have to be not so stuck in a rut on how you do things. So like just one track minded. You have to be open minded. So you have to get through that first. Okay, can I live under these circumstances where these are so you have to identify what are your priorities, and
Yeah,
and then definitely have to travel. You should have to take a trip to the city or where you're thinking you're going to go to see if you fit in there and not just like on from a vacation perspective, but just
yeah,
like kind of get down and see how the daily living goes. Maybe make some contacts in the expat community where you're planning to go and ask as many questions and just on a daily basis or a weekly basis kind of follow the forums and see what people are discussing, what challenges are they facing so that you're ready for those. If you're going to go to a country where there's a foreign language, have some perfect. I mean, people have come here and they speak zero Spanish and they get by, but
yeah.
the quality of life isn't the same as if you can communicate.
That's
There's
true.
all sorts of classes and stuff you could take, but then that's money you're spending. But it helps you. It also helps you socialize and get in the community and learn. So there's a positive side of that. But
Definitely.
you have to be fluent, not fluent, but you have to be somewhat knowledgeable in, like don't move, try to go to China or, you know, a place where Thailand, I mean, Thai is like a super difficult
Yeah.
language. I mean, you could do it. I mean, English is everywhere, but
No, that's a good
open-mindedness.
point. Even Thailand, I learned how to read and write Thai, and
Wow, that's impressive.
it's yeah, it was challenging. I can read and write it better than I can speak it, and and there's some because it's phonetically. I can read it. I can a text and have no idea what I'm saying.
That,
Yeah. So sometimes I
wow.
would read it, and I'll ask my wife, "Did I read that correctly?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What did I say?"
Oh, that's
And then she'd be
funny.
like, "Yeah, Thai language is different, but that's a good point."
Another thing is, try to cut your dependencies on like if you're gonna make the move. Put in both feet. Give it 100%. You have to be 100%. Otherwise, you're just not gonna have the
Yeah,
quality experience. Don't have so many dependencies on back home. Okay, because once you move it, that's not home anymore. Home is where you live
yeah,
and where you're trying to create a new life. So like dependencies meaning like obviously you have your family and stuff, but you gotta kind of if you're making a new life, you have to leave that you have to make the transition, like maybe your finances or home ownership or property ownership. That stuff just becomes stressful when you're not there to deal with it directly,
Yeah.
that you have that you leave behind, the more, the more the better your experience is going to be. If you're able to be kind of get into the minimalist mindset, don't be so attached to material items. That it seems trivial, but it poses challenges for people who still have things back at home that they're worried about,
Oh yeah.
or if they're worried about family relations and just whatever. I mean, you just have to make that transition where this is my life now, this is where I'm living. I'm going to have plenty of challenges here to adapt to. I'm not going to have time to worry about that. So
Yeah.
you have to mentally prepare for that, I think it would be good advice. Have your finances in order, obviously. Make sure you can access your finances easily. That's
Oh,
because
that's
that
key.
y- y-
Overseas, yeah, it's
yeah.
that's important.
Um have a decent have one at least one credit card where for emergencies, I think is on the is important. Just oh yeah, just be open minded about they do things differently in this country. I'm not gonna be like get the service I need 24, and that's anywhere you go. Spain, Italy, Europe, South America, especially.
Yeah,
Things
definitely.
are slower. Getting things done administratively, it's slower here.
Yeah.
Patience. A lot of
Patience
patience.
and flexibility.
Patience and flexibility. Yeah, if I had to sum it up, really. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like to move on with the part of the podcast here where I call it rapid fire. So this is the part where I ask you this this really short questions
Sure.
and trying to see what trying to answer it as fast as possible. I'm trying to figure out what's in Mark Antonio's head, when I ask these questions, and it could be a little fun. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right, let's start with the first one. What's your favorite Ecuadorian food?
I'd have to say ceviche, shrimp ceviche. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's a good choice, Mark
Very
Antonio. I
good.
like it.
Yeah.
We need to go out and eat together one day,
Okay.
man. Yeah. All right. I think I know this one. I think I know your answer, but we'll see. The best city or town in Ecuador?
Hands down where we live here in Cuenca. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I
other
figured you
towns
say.
have other positive things, but you have the list of everything is here.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like it. After everything you said about Cuenca, it sounds really an
Just
attractive
to
place to go and
just to
visit.
add to that, if you go to International Living Magazine, they're online, and then I think you get a subscription to it. There's an article, I don't know what year it was written, about retiring in Cuenca. At what
Really?
point it made the top 5 or 10 places for retirement. And you could read all about they did it the
Wow.
analysis. So you could check that out too.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, and next one. Okay, when it comes to coffee, Spanish, Italian, or Ecuadorian coffee?
I mean, there's some really good Ecuadorian, Colombian, Peruvian, but Italian.
Italian, yeah.
Italian all the
I
way.
Me too. I grew up as a Spaniard, grew up in Spain. But I was stationed in Italy for 2 years. 2 years, and nowhere you can get coffee like in Italy.
Yeah,
Incredible.
it's just hands down my preference.
Which U.S. food you miss the most?
That's a good one. Not not much, to be honest with you, because one of the reasons we didn't really touch on the reasons why I decided to leave, but a lot of the food in the US is like toxic nowadays. I would have to say like Northeast seafood, like lobster,
Okay.
clam chowder,
Yeah.
fried fish platters, that type of food, because that's where I grew up. And I was just
Okay.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
Boston and I was in Connecticut in February, and I ate my fill of that. So yeah, I would have to say that. I had a lobster roll in Boston, although it was like $60 for a lobster roll. It was,
Holy moly.
yeah, but delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. We took a trip to Acadia National Park, and on the way down from our drive, we stopped in a few places, had the lobster, the seafood, best.
I'd have to say that. That, and then second would be like New England pizza, like New Haven, Connecticut. I grew up in New Haven, so the pizza in New York, New Haven, the Northeast. I miss that.
Nice, nice, very good. So, do you feel more home here or in Ecuador? I'm sorry, in the U.S. or in Ecuador
Yeah, in Ecuador now. Yeah, this is
after
home,
3 years?
and that's travel. The U.S. is now travel. It's vacation.
Mhm. Yeah. So, after 3 years, would you still choose Ecuador or would you choose another place?
I gotta say, yeah, there's so much positivity here. Even though you reached that point at the 3 4 year level where you're like, I want to move on. But then I stop and I analyze, look at everything we have right here, and it's comfortable, and I have a relationship now here, and so obviously that affects my
Oh yeah.
but it would be between Ecuador and probably Spain, between the
Wow.
2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, for obvious reasons, I would choose Ecuador.
Yeah. You better say Ecuador.
Yeah, exactly. It's
All right.
another
And
road.
what is one thing about Ecuador that actually surprised you when you got there?
So, this is a bit of a touchy subject, but I wasn't
Do tell, do
familiar
tell.
I wasn't familiar, and this is all throughout South America. I wasn't familiar with the, like, clasista society.
What is that?
It's like the class levels,
Class level. Yes, yes.
and I wasn't one who I'm not very, I'm not a fan of that,
Yeah.
but it exists on a large on a level here. Here especially,
Wow.
yeah, and so
I
that
didn't know
surprised
that.
me. You got your different class levels
Wow.
based on name, education, money,
Hmm.
and so
So
it takes
there
a little
people
getting
are
used to,
treated
and
differently?
yes,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either.
yeah, and so,
Yes.
you just get used to it and learn. So that
Yeah,
was
I mean,
surprising.
it does happen in some countries now that I think about it, yeah. And I would say that even Thailand has some of that. If you have a little more money, they tend to be they tend to treat the people with less money different in a worse way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like it was obvious to me when I first went to my wife's village. It's a land of farmers. I went to visit her family. People were treating me extra nice, and I noticed that I was like, man, I really don't like that. I like to be treated just like everyone else. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So I can see that one country that is extremely prevalent even today, and historically, obviously, India.
Oh, okay, I
India
wasn't
is
aware of
very
that. I've
much
been
like
there,
that.
but I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, they actually have names for each class. It was part of
Wow.
nowadays is different, but still there. There are
Okay.
remnants of that in India.
Interesting.
Well, Mark Antonio, thank you so much, man, for
Sure.
doing this. And it has been a pleasure talking to you, and
Definitely.
finally get to talk to you since we got a friend in common, and getting to understand your perspective during your transition out of the military and moving into Ecuador. I learned a lot from you, man.
Cool.
There are things here that are really going to help me when I'm ready to make the transition, and hopefully, this, everything you share also helps others here that may be listening or watching this on YouTube. So I want to
Yeah,
thank
certainly.
you so
Yeah, it's
much
been a
for,
pleasure. If I can add one last thing to, like,
of course, yeah,
folks
yeah.
who are transitioning, document, document, document.
You're talking about VA disability?
Yes.
That's what I figure. Yeah.
Because they're so slow, and
Wow.
if you try to do it afterwards, if you're planning to relocate, it's so difficult to get things done. So get you got that headache that's been lingering, go get it documented. You got that bad
Yeah.
knee, go get you got back pain. Any little thing, document, 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 document. Get it done before you get out. Because then
Yeah, because I
afterwards,
hear
it's just save you a headache.
so true. I hear horror stories from my friends that retire that are having a hard time service connecting a disability because they
Right.
didn't document it. And it's so much harder to service connect once you're out.
Yeah, and
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 normally
Mark
that's
could
the hardest part.
elaborate on that. That's his specialty since he's been here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Mark in here another time because he's a VSO now, and
Yeah,
he's a wealth of knowledge.
right.
Yeah, so I want to have him here because I already had a podcast with him, and it's
Oh,
super
cool.
super helpful too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
but thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
I
this has been
appreciate it.
great opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, when we get there to Ecuador, we're obviously getting together with Mark, and
Oh, yeah.
we wanna hang out with you,
Oh,
man.
heck yeah, yeah. Please stay in touch.
You got the right lifestyle. That's exactly the things we're looking for.
Cool,
You like to dress nice. You like the good food, man, and we're all into that.
cool, cool. Excellent. Been a pleasure.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thank you.
So for the rest of you who watch this podcast, hopefully help you out. Make sure that you come back for the next podcast next week. I'm gonna have a guest that's actually been living in Mexico, and I know we haven't had a guest living in Mexico yet. We had some from Colombia, Thailand, Ecuador, Spain, but haven't had one from Mexico yet. So stand by on the next podcast next week, and you'll be able to catch that one. Until then, Liberty Call.